Hi everybody, this is Gijs again, and this time it is a tutorial on how to sharpen an axe. So if you like your axe and want to learn something today, then watch the video. Welcome to the tutorial on how to sharpen an axe. And I brought some axes with me. They're all mine except for this one. This is my first one. It's a small Gränsfors brook axe, just the one that I use outdoors quite a lot when I'm camping. This is the bigger one that I use at home for bigger blocks of wood and chopping them and cleaving them. This is one that was brand new. It's still brand new. You can see the hang tag. It's a Wetterling, and Wetterling has been bought by Gränsfors because, well, Gränsfors is growing rapidly and they can't keep up with the production into the demand, so that's why they came up with buying a other forge basically, and that was Wetterling. Then this one, it's the Hultafors, and this is basically the reason for making a tutorial on how to sharpen an axe, because a couple of years ago this one was sent to me after I did a Scandinavian Outdoor award jury meeting. We awarded the axe a gold award, I believe. And after that I thought, okay, well, that's a small review because it's only 1 day testing. Let's do a bigger test on this one. You can see that one on my website as well and on my YouTube channel. I've been testing this one for 2 years now. But what they also sent me in the package was a grinding stone and something really funny, this basically piece of leather. And that's when I thought, okay, let's do a tutorial on how to sharpen an axe too. What I always did in the past was to use, when I was a small guy already with my parents, I used a sort of sharpening stone from the kitchen and also those long sharpening blades that are not that well for your knives basically. And that's how I used to sharpen my knives and also the axes that I had. And in those days it was really, well, DIY axes, not of very good quality. But now with this collection of axes I try to, well, to get my way of sharpening better. And I noticed that the grinding stone, the puck, really helps. Now, the axe, like I said before, I've been using it for 2 years, and in those 2 years a lot of things happened. I cut trees with it, I made nice wooden carvings with it, and I damaged the blade quite often. And sometimes when you chop into a tree, you miss something and then you end up in a rock or a stone, and then you get this chip out of it. Well, with a grinding stone, getting a chip out of an axe blade is quite difficult. So when I'm home, I always use my grinder. And if you do this carefully, there's no harm done to the axe. It's fast and it's very precise if you do it carefully again. But you have to have the right tools and of course a sort of a shed and something to fix the axe into a workbench so you can do this safely. So that's where I use the grinder. If I don't use the grinder or can't use it, then of course I use a file, a metal file, and it's got 2 sides, which is one coarse, one is more fine. I use this one also for making my own knives, and it's a really good file. And that's how to get the breams out of the cutting edge basically. Breams, is that the correct word? I bloody hell hope so. That's the file, but then on to the stone itself. The puck. It's a round thing and it is 75 millimeters in diameter, and there is one fine grind of 180 grind and there is a coarse grind of 600. And with the two of them you can sharpen your axe. And what the good thing is that there is this, well, half dome ring opening in the middle, which means that you can touch it really nice with your fingers, and your fingers will never ever touch the blade itself, and the blade gets sharpened. So when you miss this ring and you hold it like this, you might get into your fingers, which is of course not very, very clever. Now on to the other part. That's this piece of leather. It is used, in my case, as a protection. I put it on my leg, and because there is this rope, I can tie it around, and now I can put the axe or a knife on there and I can start grinding without the risk that I'm getting into my leg, because leather is really a good protection. What it is also very usable for is that if you have some nice wood and you made some nice shavings from the wood and you want to start a fire, basically the old-fashioned way with maybe a fire steel, then put some stuff on here, use your fire steel and start the first little fire in here, because then you can take this and you can blow in it to get it bigger, and then you can put it into your fire, your bigger pile of wood basically, and that works really, really well. Now let me get it back onto my leg and explain to you how I sharpen my axe. First you take the axe. No, wrong. First, of course, you take some gloves, because if you're working with axes and knives and that kind of stuff, you really should be a little bit careful. And again, like this one, leather is basically the way to go. Now, when you use, I'm not going to show you the grinder because I've got no electricity here, of course, but with the grinder, you can get those breams off quite nicely. And you always do this in one direction and do it carefully, because it's easy if you have got a file or a grinder to take off a lot of material in a very fast way. If you're done with this and you think, okay, it's quite nice again, then you take the grinding stone. And of course you start with the coarse grind first. And what you do is first make sure that you've got your axe very firm. And this is not the way to do it. If you're grinding this side, then basically what you should do is get the axe, now I should really be aware of what I'm doing, get it underneath your armpit. Because in this way, with your hand, now you're really securing the axe itself. And now you can use the grindstone with the coarse grind and start grinding. And make nice round circular movements. And don't go like this, because then you will get a more rounded edge basically. And that will make it more blunt. So if you do it like circular, on the basically the same level that the axe has been grinded into in the first place from the factory, then you won't harm anything. And again, put it on your armpit, because this is really the way to make it really secure. And now you can hear it already. The breams are getting out of there. Now, when you've done one side, then I always like to go to the other side. And of course, now it's not possible to put it under my armpit unless I do it this way, and I'm also right and left-handed, but I'm not. So what I do is I hold it firmly with my left hand, and then I take the grinding stone and I use basically my elbow to put it on my knee, to get some pressure on there. And when I do the grinding like this, I don't use my whole arm, of course, not from the shoulder, but I use my wrist. And if you do this, I always get in a sort of trance. Is that how you call it? I like grinding. I like the circular movements, paying attention to my tools. And you can hear by the sound if you've got these breams. And if I'm using the wrong word, please send a comment below. And now I can still see that I should have taken my file to get one big thing out of there, but I won't. Now, if you're done with the coarse side, then of course you change over to the finer grading, and you can hear it already. And you can also see it. The coarse grind makes a little bit more scratches, while the finer grade makes it more like a polish. And you can hear it. Now it's getting sharp again. And it doesn't take much to do. Why do I all of a sudden have the feeling that I'm talking like Bob Ross? Now let's move over to the, ooh, and that's nice. Let's move over to the other side, and let's do this one as well. And in this way I'm getting a really nice sharp edge. Now you see me doing this without water, because, well, I don't always think it's necessary. I don't like the mess, but if you've got a cup like I do, which you can do, especially with the finer grind, take some water and put it on top here. Don't put it over your trouser, missed it. And put my cup there and start grinding again. And then you will hear, now it makes a little bit of a different noise. And it will get even more sharp because the water helps, of course, with grinding and sharpening. Now, that's about it. And that's the thing when you have got when you don't use water, but with water, you should wipe it down. And now it is really a nice sharp edge again. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's really blinking again. This is how I sharpen my axes. And that means it's sharp now. I hope you liked the video and that it is useful to you. And if it is, please give it a like and leave a comment below. And if you've got a different way of sharpening your axe or knife, or want to comment on how I do it, please leave a comment below, because I'm always eager to learn. I'm not saying that my way is the only way. If this is the first time that you've tuned into my channel, then you might not know that I am a 100% independent reviewer. I'm not being paid by manufacturers to make my reviews. I don't have any affiliate deals and I don't have any advertisements on my website. And also, this tutorial, nobody paid me to do this. I'm just doing this totally because I want to make something for you guys. And if you like the Hultafors or want to know more about it, then watch the review. I'll put the link over here. And if you like what I do, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And don't forget to hit the alarm bell so you know when I uploaded a new video. And also, please follow me on Instagram and like my Facebook page. And if you do, many, 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 many thanks in advance. Enjoy the outdoors. Ciao, ciao. And now the sun is almost gone behind the trees and I think I made it, which is actually quite cool because this is the first time that I'm doing 2 videos on one afternoon. And I want to get more videos into you guys, because, well, I like what I'm doing with this kind of weather. Love it.